Hello everyone. I want to talk a little bit about the process of actually putting Gluebook pages together, and this is probably the part that is most scary for new people to Gluebooks. It is also the most difficult to explain and to demonstrate. Every person has a different method and they have a different style and they have different things that they like. So it's really tough to say, this is the way you do it, because there's so many different ways to do anything. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about my process. I do a lot of collage work in my live streams. I do talk out loud what's on my mind as I am doing collages in a lot of my videos. If you really want more examples, I guess is what I'm trying to say, of my thought process as I'm going about making a page, they are there. So I really want to do just basic, some place to start. And then with the more practice, the easier it gets, okay? Now, number one, I use a gluing magazine. You've seen me use these before if you've watched any of my videos. I always use a glue stick. I like the Elmer's Extreme. It has to be the Extreme. It works really well. It's extra strength. It stays glued. If you choose a washable school glue of any type, those will come unglued within a month. Your images will start falling off the pages. I really like the Elmer's Extreme. Scotch has a permanent glue stick that I really like as well. So that's what I do. I use a magazine like this so I can glue all around, make sure I get all the edges, and I'm not getting glue on my surfaces, on the front of the pictures or anything. And then when that page gets glue on it, I can turn the page and have a fresh sheet. So I don't know if I'm going to get to actual gluing. I want to make this short and I want to make it fast. Basic stuff. So I really liked this image. We were talking about this on my last live stream. How would I go about using something like this with all the words all over it? I think this is a gorgeous image. Number one, I tore out the entire page so I could, the more of the page you have, the more options you have in the end. So what I think I might do, and I'm going to work in this book with this image, I think it's just a little bit longer than the page itself. So I can use almost all of this image. I would probably, there's a little shell here, it's a little logo, if you see it. I don't like the words, so I'm just going to cut, I want that logo. I want to be able to use that logo in something else. That's all I want is the logo, so I'm just going to kind of cut that out because I'm going to put something else on top of this. So it doesn't really matter if there's a hole. All right. There's words all around it. I know that I want to cover that up. All right. So I've taken my image and I've went to where I'm storing things, and I kind of keep this where I can see it, and I start selecting things that I think might be interesting with it. I make sure that I'm selecting different sizes of images. The images themselves have different size things in them, and so, we've got a close-up of a table and a little tiny house, or a little tiny tree, or this little person to go with the large person. You want a lot of different scale. It makes the page more interesting. If you wanted a page that looked like what your backyard looks like a landscape or something, all you do is go out and take a picture of your backyard. You're making a collage. You want things to interact that don't normally interact. You want to put things together that don't necessarily make any sense. Okay? So I am gathering different things together. I'm trying to be random. I'm not always random. I've said it before. I try, but it doesn't always work. So I've got this out here, and I think I want this on the page right here. More nothing. I don't want anything in front of that. I love how she's standing there, and I like the reflection, and I like all the color, and I like the ocean here. So I need to figure out how to cover up the bits that I don't like and what to put on the other side of the page. So I kind of grabbed this. So I like the colors together. Of course, now I'd have to trim it. This has been torn out, so it's a jagged edge. But I would trim it so that it's straight, and I would probably place that right in there. So I'm just going to kind of play around with some of these images and see what I can do before I start gluing anything down. And as a beginner, I would suggest arranging pages, rearranging, seeing what you like, what works for your eye, what pleases you. I really like this rhino. It has absolutely nothing to do with any of these other images, but I thought that would be really kind of interesting in the center of the book. It's only half a rhino. So after I select some things, I trim things up. I try to trim things up before, but like I said, I leave things as big as I possibly can. I can always trim them down to be a little bit smaller to fit a space, but I can't put them back after I've trimmed them off. So I start trimming things so I can audition and see what it would look like there. Now, I said I don't really necessarily want my page to make any sense. I want it to be random. I want it to be a little fun. I want it to be fun. So I was thinking I need to cover all these words, so why not place a tree on the beach? I can put that right there over the words. I really like that a lot. There's absolutely no reason for that tree to be growing on the beach, so I really like it. That's just the way that my brain works. And, you know, other people do things differently. So if you need it to make sense, then make it make sense on your page. I came across these ships, and I thought, well, this is a beach scene. Why not put a ship right there on the horizon? And that covers up some of those words. So I like that. And then I don't want nothing there, so I need something there. So I was thinking maybe that's big enough. It's the same kind of size. It's a building. It makes absolutely no sense, but that's what I'm thinking. So this page is a little skinny. I've covered up the words, but they don't go all the way to the edge or the ditch here of the spine. And so I'm going to need a little thin something I want images all throughout this page. This little rhino can go right up to the center line there. But I need something really skinny for right here. And so that's where my little basket of little bits of leftovers come in. I save the tiniest little bits of book page and envelope and scrapbook paper. All of that little tiny bits because these little tiny skinny bits will be perfect to put in those areas. So I could find one really long and skinny something. Here's a really long and skinny piece of envelope or junk mail or something. So I could actually put that on the page underneath and then put these things on top and arrange things that way. So, and I would normally, maybe the giraffes don't quite fit for me. Maybe I should put this theater here. And then I've got other little spaces. A stamped image right here by the rhino. That looks interesting to me. I kind of like that. And so I would keep arranging the page until it looks, and this little tiny girl here with the umbrella, I think she would be really interesting right there in the corner, so that she kind of looks like she's looking down at this little person in the corner. You just keep playing around with images. And that's why I suggested sorting your images into sizes. You want to start with the larger images on the bottom, and then you want to start with some medium images. These guys are medium-like. And then you want to go to small little detail images to fill in the little spaces, and that little space, that would fit in that little space there. So you want to fill in all your spaces, and when you're completely happy, which I think this works for me, I might need a little bit more red up here instead of this. So I'd have to go searching for maybe another image or something that might work in that area. I'd go to my little images and scout around and see if I can find something. And then when I am happy with what I have, then I start gluing down. Now, sometimes it helps to take a picture. If things are exactly where you need them to be and you want to remember where everything goes, you might want to take a picture, or you might want to scooch it onto the surface so that you can pick up things as you go. You want to glue down the large pieces that are underneath first, which means you have to move just about everything, which can be hard to remember exactly where it was. And many times I had a page exactly how I wanted it, had to move it to start gluing it down, and lost it and could never figure out how to put it back together again. It happens, and I don't know how to solve that problem. I have lost a couple of pages. So, taking a picture might help when you're in the beginning stages of putting Gluebook pages together. So I would, take this page off, and I will go ahead and glue this image down so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to scooch these images over. So I want this image down on the very bottom. I'm going to use, you know what, I have to open up a new glue stick, so I'm down to digging out glue. Sorry. I am going to put it face down on my gluing magazine here, and I do the middle first. I make sure there's quite a bit of glue on the page so it sticks well, and I do make sure that I get the edges, and I've got a hole in it, so I've got to make sure I don't tear my paper. I make sure I get the edges really well. Really, really well. This image is just a little bit too tall for the page, So what I am going to do, make sure that it's right side up. I am going to line the straight edges with the edge of my page and make sure that the top and the bottom, that there's a little bit hanging over so I can trim it up. And I want that image to be right on the page, so I'm lining up this edge first. I take a piece of t-shirt or a cotton washcloth, something like that, and since I've lined this edge up, I'm going to go from the center and press that image down, making sure that I've got all the air bubbles out from underneath it. I didn't get glue here, so it's not gluing down. And I go from the center out to make sure that that page is lying flat, that there's no air bubbles underneath, and I'm pressing down that image to the page so that all that glue that I put on there is connecting to the page. Each of the pieces of paper are connected together. So I did not get glue. Oh, I got glue. I just didn't rub it down. Okay. So this is how you save from getting bumps underneath your images. Now I've got a piece of a bump right here. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. Yeah, you can see that little bump right there. It's a piece. It's a extra little lump of glue. I managed to. I don't know how I managed to get a little lump of glue there, but when it's wet, you can rub out air bubbles, small air bubbles, and lumps of glue. You can kind of flatten those out, but you have to do it while the glue is wet. So that is how I would get the basic image down. And then after I'm done with the whole page, I would go back and trim off the top and the bottom that overlap the page. So I like that. Am I going to put this down there? I need some glue right there. I didn't get enough glue, so I'm just going to put some on the page and make sure that that's down there good. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down there so that, because I've got a white space here, I don't like white space. And I'm going to put that little bit right into that crease, that ditch, the spine. And I'm going to rub again, make sure that that glue is connecting those two pieces of paper together really well. Okay? And again, I'll trim that off at the end. So I really liked this tree right there. And it's crooked, so I'm going to trim that so it's not catching my eye. I don't like the way that it's kind of crooked there. That's a little bit better. And I think, do I need it to be, yeah, I need it to be that wide to cover up all this words underneath here. So that covers it up pretty well. I'm going to put this on my gluing magazine in a place that I didn't glue before, and make sure that I get plenty of glue on the image all the way around the edges, and then put it where I want it. I'll scooch it over just a little bit before I rub it down. Right there. It's right there. So now that it is in exactly the right place, I can go from the center and rub the image all down. And then you just continue to add things until you cover everything that you want covered. Okay? Do both sides, trim up your edges, and you've got yourself a Gluebook page. So it takes some practice. I think I want this little girl here, but I'm going to trim this up before I put her down so I know that she's on the page where I want her to be. It takes some practice. It takes a few times, a few pages to get the hang of it. And that is the basic process of putting just a single page together. Play around with your images. Move them around until they become what you want them to become. I've got some images over here. I don't know what I want to do with them, or where I want them. I just keep moving them around. You do want to start with your larger images. You don't want to cover up smaller images that you've saved. And then just play around until something works, till you get what you want, and then start gluing it down. That's the basic, someplace to start. Just someplace to start. Just start practicing, start putting things down. I think I've said everything. I want to keep it pretty short. Like I said, if you really want to hear more of the thought process of putting pages together, I do this on my live streams quite a bit, and I do my thought process. I say it out loud so you can see why I pick certain images, why I'm putting them in certain places. If you need more of that kind of thing, there's plenty of videos with me doing that kind of thing, arranging things, and why I do stuff like that. I think that's everything. I did want to make this really, really short. If you have any questions, please comment in the comments below, and I will answer anything that you have to ask as soon as I can get to it. Glue books are so easy. Once you have a little bit of practice, don't be afraid of putting your images together and trying all kinds of stuff. Don't be afraid. Just go for it. And then when you get a page together, you'll enjoy looking at the page, and that really helps for the next page. The next page will be better. It'll be more fun. It'll be easier. So, thanks for watching.